basically, that's the table of contents and the introduction. So basically, my project is called FinGeoRisk, and the idea pretty much started kind of more simple. It started off with a question like if you're buying a house or if you already own one, you're kind of questioning yourself like how do natural disasters risk that the property is exposed to? And there's plenty of websites that already give you kind of general information about a certain area, but it's a little bit harder to get a complete picture for one specific address. So that's why I built FinGeoRisk, because simply what it does, the user puts in an address and then the application like builds a risk profile, and it looks at things like floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and then it also gives you a predicted financial loss where it gives you like insurance premium, and it also explains how the numbers were calculated through an AI assistant. And it was built with Python and Flask, and it uses government data, mapping, and an AI assistant to make like all the information more easier to understand. And then for my problem statement, I just went over this like, why am I building this? And so I started researching tools that I could use, and I noticed there were two things. On one hand, there were more advanced tools that insurance companies use, but they were really expensive, and it's not something like any person could really access to. And then on the other hand, there's little information from people that they already know. Like they may know that they live in like a flooded area or like a hurricane prone zone, but they don't really know what that means financially and how serious of a risk that could be. And there's another thing that I know, there's also climate change that is changing. So historical data doesn't really reflect what's currently happening today. And that really made me wonder, like, how can we, make disaster risk information more accessible to everyone and not just experts? So that question was kind of like the starting point of my project. And that leads me into, real world insights. So one of the biggest things that I learned while kind of building this project was actually that there's a huge amount of high quality public data already. For example, there's FEMA, and it provides like flood information. There's like the US Forest Service. There's NOAA that provides like the hurricane and weather. And there's various other sorts that provide, good data. The only challenge with that is that it's scattered across like different websites, different agencies, and everything's like in different formats. So not like the everyday person can't really find what they're really looking for. And a homeowner isn't going to spend like hours just jumping between 6 different government websites to understand one property that they're trying to invest in. So I learned pretty quickly that it's not really as useful as it looks. And because of that, when I built my project, FinGeoRisk, I really wanted that to become like an important part of my project where we can be like transparent. So FinGeoRisk shows a value, and it makes it clear where the numbers directly come from, whether it's like government data or purely like an estimate. And I'd rather be honest about like any uncertainty than, give like, this is for sure certain. So that's how pretty much my project looked out throughout the entire thing. And then for solutions, the quick overview of how everything kind of works. The user starts by building an address. You put it in through right here. And then the request is backed in through Flask, and then the application collects information from various government data. And then once all that data comes in, it combines it to one single view where the user can look through it, and it can kind of estimate things like insurance, financial losses based on like hazards. And then also there's an AI assistant that can also, if the user needs like any over explanation, the AI can do that. And it can also do it without making it a little bit harder for the user. And then there's also multiple websites that it can like, there's tabs where the user can click through so they can see like exactly what they want at like a quicker time. And there's also a disaster simulation where they can pick any type of disaster. It can be like a flood or a hurricane or like a fire. And then they can choose like how disastrous it could be. It could be like a level 7 magnitude earthquake or like a category 4 hurricane. And then the simulation would simulate that in that location that they specified. And then it would kind of like showcase like how it could hypothetically look like in that scenario. So instead of like making it interpreter or technical, they can just ask a question and then the AI also explains that in like English, so that it can kind of like make it easier to explain anything. And then there's also a video I included that shows a demo, but I think it would be better if I just show you myself. So
No, right, that's what I was gonna ask you to do, exactly
yeah.
that.
So
Yeah, please do.
let me fix that. Let me switch to my other screen so that I could personally show you the application. Okay, can you see?
Yes, I can. All right, let's see.
Okay, so
FinGeoRisk.
this is the loading screen, and then you just click here to launch the terminal. And then the first thing, this is like the sidebar. You can change any color that you want, basically. Let's put it here for now. And this is where you type in the address. So you can just give me any location that comes up in your mind. It can be
All
a
right.
country, a place.
Okay, what about let's go with Mexico.
Okay, Mexico. And then it'll go all the way to Mexico. Right here, yeah,
Nice.
we're in the
All
middle
right.
of Mexico. And then, yes, let me just zoom out so that you can see. Yeah, we're
Right,
in
in Mexico.
Mexico. And then also on this side, it can show you the history. So Mexico,
The previous history.
yeah,
I
since we
didn't got
just
it.
searched that up, it's right over here. And then this is all like the past information. And it'll also give you like a quick little overview of like current data. There's also,
This is sort of national data right here, right? Is in
yeah.
the live underwriting summary. Okay.
And then over
Uh,
here, this is the summary. It can tell you basically, and then over here, there's also an AI that you can ask it anything, or if you want, you can just use
got it.
any of these presets over here.
The perimeter radar scan is just like what is that exactly?
So which one?
The perimeter radar scan at the bottom.
Here.
Yeah, the
This one?
perimeter radar. This one, yeah. What is this?
So this is basically, it takes like a radar of the area. So like since we put Mexico, it's taking like a radar of the entirety of Mexico right now. And then this is basically what it's giving you. These percentages mean for the sludge surge, wind channels, and then basically these are all the numbers mean. This is also like the altitude.
Cool. All right.
And how far it's like going for.
I think I get it. What did you use for these numbers and stuff? Right? What APIs are you using here?
API, well, currently it's using, I'm pretty sure a series of 4 different APIs. There's FEMA, which is wind and hurricane. There's also NASA for the maps. There's also there's a US wildfire API that I'm using so that it can calculate all the wildfires. And pretty much, because there's also groups of 2 that I'm pretty sure the NASA API gives me also flooding too. So that's currently the data that I'm using.
What the chatbot thing?
Yeah, the chatbot here. There's actually 2 chatbots. This is the first chatbot. And then if you go to the financial engine, there's another chatbot over here where you can ask about estimated losses and yields for the address that you put in. And it's like an actuarial advisor.
So you have the financial engine, the risk and climate analytics, and the command dashboard, huh? Or what are each other functions exactly? The command dashboard is the overview, I guess. And what about the risk?
The command dashboard is bringing like a general information of the area, while the financial engine gives you like more specific data. Like if you wanted to ask like where you calculated these numbers from, like it would tell you like where you got the data from.
Cool. Interesting. All right.
And then,
okay, one last question for you. I think I get it.
Yeah, and then this is
the 3D. What about the 3D elevation terrain map? How is this useful?
This is a 3D terrain. Basically, it can give the user a sense of how elevated a location is, so that they can gauge like if it's like potential like a risk for flooding or hurricane surges, so that they can see like If the area is
Mhm.
elevated enough, then it's like generally safer to buy, and you don't have to worry about like flooding insurances or anything like that.
Cool. I
And
think
yeah,
like if I'm thinking when I'm thinking of buying a home, right? I'm thinking of like, hey, what is like the weather like throughout the year, right? Like if
yeah.
you're buying a home in like the middle of America, say in like Georgia or
Mhm.
somewhere, then like you to think of like, oh wait, it's bitterly cold in the winter, and then this like the snow piles up like 5 feet,
No,
like
yeah.
things like that, right? Like things you just don't take into account because you might not be used to it, right?
Yeah, so
So,
that's
like,
why I show you the 3D elevation, so you can kind of like get like a
mhm.
visual element so that you can actually see the location that you're putting in and kind of
No,
like
it's
the
okay. I kind of get that, but like, is there an
Mhm.
element of like that where I can think of like, okay, I've lived in New York my whole life, right? And then I can be like, okay, I want to move to the middle of Alabama for some reason. What is
Yeah,
the if I move a house there, what does the weather look like throughout the year, right? Something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
No, yeah. And that I understand. But basically, the 3D elevation just gives you like for flooding
Mm-hmm. For
purposes.
flooding and stuff. Right? Got it. So
Yeah,
it's more natural disaster focused than like general climate.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got it. Got
It's
it.
basically more like natural disasters, like anything that can happen in nature.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great job here, Valerie. I think like, what do you think you can add here to try to improve it? What's your opinion?
Yeah, definitely. I want to add like on the map, because
Hmm.
for right here, it gives you like live data, or like I don't know, let's just say like let's go here, and it'll take you to this place, and it'll show you like the percentages of everything here. But I guess what I also want to add was like a little like symbol whenever you would
Hmm.
like zoom out, like if I just go all the way out, that it would like show you like symbols around the world of
Hmm.
like
Hmm,
areas
hmm.
at risk, so that whenever you're trying to like quickly find like an information of any place, you can
Yeah.
just kind of like zoom in.
Yeah, I kind of get it's like a heat map, right? Where you can see like,
Yeah.
oh wait, these areas are red, these areas are green, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, I
Exactly.
like that. There's this one more thing you can possibly add is also like I guess what do you call it, accounts and stuff like user accounts, like a sign-in page, maybe.
True, true, true. That would
Yeah.
definitely be something I'll have to implement. I
How
guess
are you
right
like
now,
how are you like storing information by the way? Like if for example if we remembered our history like previous what do you call it? Previous queries, right? So like how
Mhm.
where exactly are you using a database or some sort?
Yeah, so basically in the code is using all the APIs, and it's like kind of hard coded into the code itself, so that whenever
Hmm.
the user puts in any address, it can kind of just like sort through the information, and it'll like pinpoint that exact location based on the current data set that we have. So right now everything is
No,
running through the
no,
APIs.
I get that, but like where exactly is this data stored, right? It has to be stored somewhere, right?
Well, it's stored like in the code. I mean, there's not like a location where you could like look exactly like where the data is getting from, unless you would want to look at the code.
Okay, by code you mean like is it stored like locally on your computer? Are you using some?
Yeah, I'm using Visual Code Studio.
Or oh, wait, you have deployed this story? Oh, okay, maybe it's on render.
Yeah, it's on render.
Uh, okay, got it. So sorry, render, my bad. Yeah, you're probably using a database feature there then. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Great project, Valerie. That's basically the technical part. So I don't really have much to say. You did a great job. Then now it'll be we move on to the next part, right? Next part won't be me giving that interview. Just stay in the call for a second. Someone will join you very soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you.